Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. The club football championship season is upon us. The club season is officially here. It has been here obviously for a couple of weeks, but there's been obviously still so much to discuss in terms of inter-county football, inter-county hurling, ladies football, camogie, so much happening across the inter-county scene. But the inter-county scene is officially over, and so in this video we are going to be predicting every club football championship, every senior club football championship. I think if we went down the intermediate and junior route, we might be here until Christmas. So we'll just go with the senior championships. Obviously, myself, Seamus, Matthew, we're certainly not all experts, as it is, probably, at least not me anyway, judging off my predictions this year at inter-county level. But we certainly don't know everything about every club football championship, so it's definitely going to be up to some of you lads as well who are tuning in the comments. Let us know your own predictions. Let us know what club championships you'll be watching, and let us know as well who you think will be coming through the various different club championships. So, yeah, we're going to be running through about 32 club football championships, 31 counties, obviously, in Ireland. The Kilkenny Senior Football Championship we won't go through in too much detail there, just because there's actually very little information on it, to be honest. The London Football Championship we'll run through briefly, and yeah, we'll be giving our picks for Leinster, for Ulster, for Munster, for Connacht as well, and also our All-Ireland picks as well. So certainly a lot to go through. So yeah, joined by Seamus Brady from Oncliha and Matthew Hurley from the Gaelic Statsman. How are we, lads? We keeping well?
Keeping very well, Aaron. I have to say, absolutely buzzing to get into this now. I think if you're talking in terms of predictions and competitions and stuff that you will likely get wrong, I think this one scores at the very top. So looking forward to trying to predict them and everything like that. There's always massive upsets in the club championships every year. I mean, you think about last year, even some of the shocks that we've seen, like Ballyhale Shamrocks not making it out of Kilkenny on the hurling side. There's shocks every year in the club championship. I think that the main one as well was, of course, St. Thomas has beaten Ballygunner, and there's always huge shocks. So it's going to be very, very hard to predict who will come out on top, especially you're talking All Ireland champion. It's so hard. The amount of years over the last few years that people have called that a Galway club would win, whether it be Currafin or Mount Ballymoyloch, and then they don't even get out of Galway. So it's really, really hard to predict. I think, given a little teaser for, my initial prediction, I think you're looking at a county, a club, that is going to come from a county where they might win it more easy than others, because the club championship and winning the All-Ireland, you have to keep all the troops together. You can't lose your big players. And Glen won it last year, largely down to the fact that Glass, McFall, these all lads, they all stayed fit and they weren't missing at the key games and the key points in the season, whereas other teams that were missing players did suffer surprise defeats. So I think that's a huge point in who ultimately comes out on top in the club championship. But we're speaking in late August. I'm sure a lot's going to change by the time it's all said and done in January, but it'll be fun to give it a crack anyway.
Yeah, how excited are you for watching a bit of club championship action, Matthew? I know you'll have your eyes obviously set on the Cork football championship this year.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for having me on again, Aaron. Yeah, I suppose I'm just lucky to be in a privileged position to be reporting on some Cork games over weekends and stuff like that, both hurling and football. Sometimes it's divisional, sometimes it's county, and that has basically made me just keep a close eye on the county championship so far in Cork. We've been talking about the big three over the last few seasons with the Bars, Nemo and Castlehaven at the football side. Now it's the big one. Castlehaven look like head and shoulders above everybody. I know we'll talk about Cork in a bit, and Seamus talked about shocks and stuff like that, and we're always going to have them in the club championship. We already had it last weekend with St. Finbarrs losing the Mallow, which was unexpected in many ways. They lost by 2 points. They had Ian Maguire out on the pitch, Stephen Sherlock, Brian Hayes out on the pitch, and still they couldn't get over Mallow, who have very few inter-county players on their panel. So, you're going to get shocks up and down the country. I see Watty Graham's again lost to Slough-Neil as well at the Derry Championship. I see Mount Ballymoyloch lose to Salty Knocknacarra and Galway. Skerry's Harps gave Kilmacud Crokes a good run for only the Dublin Championship, for what I've seen as well. Kenmare Shamrocks only lost by a point to Dingle. So there have been very, very good games at the club championship so far. So yeah, definitely looking forward to getting into the chat with you guys here. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to predict every club championship up and down the country. And we're going to get a few wrong, but hey, look, we'll go for it and give it a crack anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. So I suppose we'll start off with the Leinster counties. First of all, Eamon says here, Bridget's look to go all the way this year. So unlucky last year. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll certainly get onto that a little bit later. So we'll go in alphabetical order, and we'll start off with the counties of Leinster, and that first of all leads us with the Carlow Football Championship. So just looking at it there, Éire Óg won this last year in 2023. They beat Tinra Land. There's definitely going to be some names here I'm going to absolutely butcher, but look, it is what it is. Palatine won it in 2022, and just looking at some odds actually, so I was looking on Odds Checker. Rathvilly are actually favourites to win the championship, despite having not won it since 2021. But looking at it there, like Éire Óg had a dominant spell from 2017 to 2020. So yeah, I'll come to you on this one, Matthew. Who would you be looking towards in the Carlow Football Championship? Obviously, our knowledge here now is very few and far between. But if you were going to back someone, who would you be thinking?
Obviously, Aaron, it is a shot in the dark, because Carlow, you may as well ask me about the championships over in Paris or whatever GA championships, because I wouldn't have the slightest of iota about the Carlow Championship if truth be told. But having seen Éire Óg's young talents come up against Kilmacud last year, I know they got blown out of the water in Leinster last season, but they still had some good young players floating in and around there. I think Jordan Morrissey's in around the Éire Óg team, and he looks a very good player for the Carlow inter-county side. So I think I'd back Éire Óg to win it. Rathvilly's quite an interesting one. That was completely out of the blue. I didn't see them as favourites for the Carlow Championship, but I'd probably go for Éire Óg to win it. And the less said about the Carlow Championship, the better, because I wouldn't know much about it in all honesty, but I'd go for Éire Óg to win it.
What would you be thinking, Seamus? Just looking at it there, the club that I could not pronounce, Tinryland, in the last two county finals. They were beaten fairly comfortable in the final last year. Only 2 points to Palatine in 2023. So there are shocks, there are surprises always. What would you be thinking?
It's an interesting one. I think like Tinryland, I know of Tinryland from the 2018 season just because Paul Broderick that was his club, and I remember Paul Broderick was up for an all-star selection. I remember that year. That was the Carlow Rising year. He was sensational for the Carlow County team that year. Definitely, I find it interesting that Rathvilly are favourites above Éire Óg, because Éire Óg obviously defending champions, and then previously, as you mentioned, went on that dominant spell at the end of the 2010s, and like they did okay against Kilmacud in Leinster last year. But the reality is like you're coming up against a Kilmacud Croke side that if you were to make them an inter-county team, I know it's one of the oldest phrases in the book, but if you were to make Kilmacud an inter-county team and you put them in Division 3, they'd probably get promoted out of Division 3 into Division 2 and probably stay there. Like the level of talent that Crokes have is outrageous. And they did well. Like it was against the full forward line that you had Paul Mannion, Shane Walsh, Darren Mullen, and Éire Óg definitely impressed for long stages. I think like on their day, I think Jordan Morrissey is Carlow's best footballer. And if they can get him at the peak of his powers, I see them absolutely as the front runners. Because the other thing as well is in club championships, especially the ones that aren't straight knockout, and Carlow's one isn't straight knockout. When it's not straight knockout, it does leave the door open to more of a dynasty. And I was having a debate recently enough with a fan who was against the Tyrone championship structure where it is straight knockout, and he was saying it's not fair on the club teams who lose. And I was pointing out in return, like we are seeing it. It's definitely an issue for another day to talk about, but we are seeing a lot of counties where there are clubs now who are emerging as very dominant dynasties. Like you look at how many Galway championships have St. Thomas has won, how many have Ballyhale Shamrocks won in Kilkenny. Like last year they lost and it was a huge shock. Kilmacud Crokes did back-to-back doubles in Dublin. Back-to-back football and hurling in the 1 year. So it's interesting because once you catch a team you very rarely catch them twice. And I fancy Éire Óg, their squad depth and the talent that they have compared to most of the other clubs around Carlow. I think if they can hit the ground running, I can see them retaining the title.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like looking at the margin of victory as well, like in the last final as well, like a complete whitewash really. And I was even looking through some of Raffaelli's players there, just in a match report with their game against Éire Óg last year, and there isn't too many that jump to mind that are on the county team. So it is interesting, all right, in terms of them being the favourites. But yeah, we're all going with Éire Óg as our picks for the Carlow Senior Football Championship. After that, then, it is the Dublin Senior Football Championship. And obviously myself and Seamus would be, I suppose, quite invested when it comes to the Dublin Senior Football Championship. Kilmacud Crokes, as we know, are the top dogs over the last couple of years. You'd have to go as far back as 2020 that the last team, other than Kilmacud Crokes, won the Dublin Senior Football Championship, and that was Ballymun-Kickums. The Dublin Football Championship is already underway, and that is the thing as well. There will be a lot of championships that are underway. So, like, for anyone tuning in from various different counties, like, feel free to let us know how the championships are getting on. In match day 1 in the Dublin Football Championship, there were some interesting results. Kilmacud Crokes narrowly beat Kerry's Harps. One of the standout results for me was Ballymun-Kickums getting the win versus Ballybowden. And of course, as we know, Kickums have been a team that a lot of people have been backing in the last couple of years. And when you look at some of the star-studded names in their team. But Seamus, I'll come to you on this. Like, I mean, Kilmacud Crokes, can anyone stop them? You feel like if there's a place where they'll be stopped in Leinster, it's probably going to be in the Dublin Football Championship. I think we all remember that game against Raheny last year where they got through by the absolute skin of their teeth. I think it was a penalty shootout in the end. Raheny had so many chances through that. So, I mean, that's the big question. Like, can Kilmacud Crokes, can they be dethroned in Dublin, or are they just too strong?
It's difficult to know, and it's something that a lot of people will tune into, and like it's people are when teams go on those dominant spells, we want them to lose, and like I was working at the game last year, the one you were talking about against Raheny. I was working with the media team at that, and the viewers on the live stream going into the final few minutes when it looked like Raheny were going to beat Kilmacud went through the roof. Everyone was like desperate to see if this was going to be the end of Kilmacud's dominance in Dublin. And look, last year they lost the hurling one. They lost the hurling championship, and their grip definitely loosened last year. Like, they still won, but they didn't look as undeniable as they had done in previous years. And now Glenn took them out in the All-Ireland semi-final stage. Shane Walsh didn't play against Kerry's Harps. It would be interesting to see how Robbie Brennan manages him. Like, what way is he going to bring him back in? Is he going to ease him back in, like give him a couple of minutes here and there, or is he now going to be like, you know what, we weren't the best against Kerry's, we kind of need to get this guy back now for the tests ahead? Like, as you said, Ballymun looks sharp, Nafina looks sharp. Like, there's going to be big tests ahead. Me personally, I actually do think that Kilmacud could lose this year. I really do. I think that Kilmacud could be beaten in Dublin because it's difficult to be the hunted for so long. I think we saw Limerick struggle with it this year in the hurling, like that. You know, it's difficult to have a target on your back for so long and everybody wants to take you out. And I think Kilmacud aren't 100% what they used to be. I think if they get to the final, I think there's no stopping them. But I think they could be caught in a kamikaze-style semi-final, like Raheny nearly got them in last year. And if Kilmacud don't win the Dublin Football Championship, I think it will probably be one of Ballymun and Nafina that will.
Yeah, like, I think it's interesting with Ballymun-Kickums. Like, they're always touted every year as one of the favourites. But I think one thing that they've struggled with hugely is obviously the fact that the majority of their players playing county football, the likes of Dean Rock, Philly McMahon, obviously down the years, James McCarthy, Paddy Small, John Small. The fact that Dublin went out in the quarterfinals like quite early on in the championship, I think might potentially suit them. And then as well, like the fact that Dean Rock obviously retired, like he's had a full league season under his belt. James McCarthy probably wasn't right for the majority of the season with Dublin, but it looks like maybe he's coming back into fitness as well. So I suppose, Seamus, like Ballymun Kickums, they definitely are coming, and they're definitely going to be in the mix, especially after their win versus Bowden there as well.
Certainly, and like that's always been a huge issue for Ballymun. Is like the deeper Dublin go into the All Ireland Championship, the worse it is for Ballymun in terms of their club performance. And I mean, it's no coincidence that what year in the last 7 years have you seen Ballymun look their best? It's the pandemic year. It's the pandemic year where they played the club championships first, and then they played the intercounty after. And what happened is Ballymun got a free run from the start. They all started at the same line. And a lot of teams in Dublin now that are performing pretty well in the club championship, like as you said, Skerries gave Kilmacud a right go. And you look at Skerries' team, like you've got Killian McGuinness obviously there at midfield, who's their best player. Like in my opinion, he's fantastic. Apart from that, like they don't really have much of a Dublin influence, and that means that they have had a unit there together who have played basically the entire league with each other. And they know the system, they know their roles, they know their jobs. And Ballymun Kickums have always been caught by teams like that. Like you think about the year they got caught by Luke and Sarsfields, think about the year they got caught by Thomas Davis. Like they always have struggled against a team that have been together since get-go and don't have as much lads landing back into the team who are superstars but haven't quite been with the team the whole time. And as you said, you wouldn't imagine it has a huge difference on their performance, but the 1 year that they've won it really impressively, as a lot of people have expected them to do every year, given the talent they have, is the pandemic year where there was no intercounty distracting them. So the fact that Dublin have gone out early, in my opinion, gives them a way better chance than if Dublin had just played in an All-Ireland final. Because last year, let's not forget, Dublin played Kerry in that All-Ireland final. Dean Rock had his wedding to Niamh McAvoy. The Dubs went away on holiday. They came back 10 days after the All-Ireland final. Ballymun lined out against Ballybowden in round 1. What happened? Paddy Small pulled his hamstring inside 10 minutes. Badly as well. Like that, there's no doubt that was an injury caused by overplaying. And so I think they're in a great position here. The more I talk about it, the more I'd be tempted to make Ballymun favourites.
There we go. Yeah. What about you'll see the club jersey on the back there, Ballybowden St. Enda's. I should stress I'm not a Ballybowden man. I just got that jersey sent out when I did a promotion for KC Sports not too long ago and left it hanging up there because I probably will never wear it realistically. But yeah, like I mean, do they have a chance? Like they were in the final last year. I remember a lot of people were backing them last year, including myself.
You.
Yeah, most notably me. They obviously have the Pascals in there as well. I think that's probably why they sent the jersey out, like because I was backing them so much last year. But like, what about them, Seamus? Like, could they maybe be in it, or ultimately, who are you backing then? You backing Ballymun?
Yeah, you see with Ballybowden, it's weird. Ballybowden the last 4 years. The Ballybowden won it in 2019. And since then, in 2020, 2021, 2022, and last year, they have either won every game or they've got stuffed. And there's been no in between. Like last year, they didn't come close to Kilmacud. They got blown out of the water. And as you said, superstars like the Pascal brothers, and in my opinion, Warren Egan is so effective when he's on his game. They were made to look extremely ordinary, along with players with the talent of Ross McGarry and Michael Dare McCauley. And they just weren't at the races at all in that final. And Crokes ran them over. I would kind of look at it this way and go, do you know what? Ballybowden could be good for the odd upset, but I don't think that they're going to win the Dublin Club Championship this year. Could be famous last words. It's always bold to bet against the current champions. But I just think that there's something in this Kilmacud side that like they've been on the road for a while now. You think about everything they've been through over the last 2 years with winning losing the All-Ireland final to Kilcoo, which feels like a decade ago now. Then they won it against Glen, but we all remember that fiasco. And then they get to the semi-final against Glen, where it felt like the Wolves were out for them that night, and then they went down in a battle, which, to be fair, they went down swinging in that game against Glen. They've been through a lot. And I think in the Skerries game, they just looked a little bit, little bit vulnerable. And I think someone like Ballymun or Nafina would be able to really punish them. I'm going Ballymun to win it.
There we go. For yourself, Matthew, as an outsider, like just looking at the odds, like on Odds Checker again, like Crokes are the favourites. You've got Nafina, second favourites. Ballymun Kick comes in a third. Ballybowden fourth. You've got Judes and Coola maybe with outside chances as well. What would you be thinking?
It's hard to go against either Kilmacud, Ballymun, or Ballybowden, to be honest with you. Raheny do have good men around the middle, but look at the outside anyway with Brian Howard and Brian Fenton there. Judes have, I don't know, is Kevin Mack still playing, but Niall Coakley's gone back down to Cork, so he's gone out of that team. That's going to be a big loss to them. I'm going to make bold predictions throughout the video. So would I make my bold prediction now and say Ballymun? The thing is, there's so many ways in which you'd argue Ballymun is going to win. And number one, as you mentioned before, Aaron, and you mentioned to be off air as well the other night, you say that Dean Rock isn't with the Dublin team this year. They went out in the quarterfinals as well. I just feel like this is probably a year where Ballymun could shock Kilmacud, but just feel like at the same time, Kilmacud are too good to go down. Like Paul Mannion's very good. Shane Walsh, we all know his qualities. Roy O'Carroll's experience at this level. Their defenders, Dan O'Brien, should be in the Dublin team, in my opinion. Theo Clancy's an excellent full back, up and coming as well. I just feel like Kilmacud are too good to going down. I feel like Kilmacud will win the championship. Maybe that's just maybe on the outside, but I just feel like Kilmacud have it in them enough to win the championship. And the only team I do see in going down Kilmacud is probably going to be Ballymun, but it's going to be very interesting to see that. You see Scary Harps in the match they won. They looked very good in trying to gun down Kilmacud. I just feel like Kilmacud have too much firepower to get the job done in Dublin. And Ballymun will definitely get them close, but I feel like Kilmacud will win it in the end. Dylan Keating's another good player for Ballymun, should be looked out for, in my opinion, but I just feel like Kilmacud will get over the line.
There we go. Yeah. For myself, it's a difficult one as well, but I think I might go with Nafina, to be honest with you. I feel like they've been knocking on the door for a couple of years. I remember 2 years ago, they were coming into that final in brilliant form and only narrowly beat as well. And I feel like overall, especially when you look at the former Conor McHugh as well, who's been like a real standout player for Nafina. Obviously, the Dublin influence in there, like Owen Murch and Johnny Cooper. I think Nafina are going to do it as well. I agree with both of you lads. I think Crokes are vulnerable when it comes to the Dublin Football Championship. I think they've probably maybe got away with it a little bit in the last couple of years in knockout games. I think this is the year maybe that they get caught. And in the nature of how this year has gone, I think it probably would be very fitting in regards to how the year has gone. Just moving on then, we have the Kildare Football Championship. No surprise, Naas are heavy favourites. They've won the last 3 championships in a row. You do have Selbridge there as well. Like they got to the final last year and only narrowly lost by 2 points. But in a similar fashion, really, to the Dublin Football Championship, Matthew, like Naas are heavy favourites, and it's very, very hard to bet against them, to be honest.
Yeah, they look a serious team. Even Owen Doyle, who recently retired from Kildare, was a very experienced player in that team. Derek Irwin was one of the top scorer from play from in the Tailteann Cup this year. Quality footballer. Eamon Callaghan, I'm not sure what the situation is with him. Is he going to go into the coaching team, or is he retired, or what's the story? But if he's still there, that's another experienced player to add to it for Naas. You have Alex Byrne there, who's an excellent footballer at this level as well. Paddy McDermott at wing back. So I think Naas are the obvious favourites for Kildare. I don't think anybody is going to stop them. And as well as that, if anybody's going to stop the Dublin champions in Leinster, whoever it is, Ballymun, Kilmacud, or whoever it is, it's going to be Naas. They are a serious team, and they are going to be gunning for Leinster. They've got close to Kilmacud in the last few seasons. Well, last year it was a bit of a whitewash, let's be honest. There was 1 year, I think, when Paul Mannion was injured, or Derek Irwin was injured coincidentally for Naas as well, where Naas pushed Kilmacud really, really close in that game as well. So So yeah, I think Naas are the clear favourites to win it, and they beat Johnstown Bridge in match. They won 14 points to nine as well, and Johnstown Bridge have Daniel Flynn their team. So I feel like Naas are a big team, and they're going to be hard to stop. Selbridge, you mentioned they beat Raheeds in the first day, won 13 to 11 points. Confey won against Carberry as well. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be either Selbridge or Naas. Selbridge are probably going to be closest team to them, but I feel like if Naas are to be stopped in Kildare this year, it'd be a massive shock. The players that they have, the history that they have in this championship, I feel like Naas will win the Kildare championship, and they'll push Kilmacud very, very close, or whoever it may be in Leinster.
Yeah, I suppose looking at it there, like Derek Irwan's obviously a standout player for Naas, but even just looking at the odds for the Kildare Football Championship on Paddy Power, like Naas are 4-6, and then after that it's Selbridge at 5-1. So like it's quite a jump there, like in terms of the odds. Like Naas are heavy favourites. So Seamus, would you be aligned there with Matthew and thinking that Naas go all the way?
Yeah. This is one of the dynasties that I would reference when it comes to the club championship. Naas have an iron grip on the Kildare championship, and it doesn't look like they're going to let it go this season anyway. I have a bit of a hot take though. I think that if they do get through, I would back Naas to actually be able to beat Nafina or Ballymun more likely than to beat Kilmacud. Because I feel like if Kilmacud get out of Dublin, I feel like they can kick it and be like, okay, we know how to get through Leinster now. We've done it the last 2 years. Whereas I think Ballymun and Nafina, actually, because the year that Ballymun won the Dublin Championship, obviously there was the pandemic, so they didn't bother going with the rest of the All-Ireland series. So Ballymun haven't been in the Leinster Club Championship since they won it in 2013. It won in 2012/2013. Like, that's a long time ago. And for Nafina, it's been way longer. Nobody on that Nafina team has played Leinster club football. So for Naas's sake, I think that they would be hoping that it's a Nafina or a Ballymun that come out with the Dublin Championship, because they won't have that same level of experience. But as Matthew said, the talent that Naas has speaks for itself. Like, Derek Irwin is one of Kildare's best players. Alex Byrne, Owen Doyle, like, they absolutely are, stacked when it comes to the talent that they have. Selbridge have some big names in there as well. And I was surprised when I looked at the final last year, the names in the Selbridge team, that it wasn't, one that went down to the wire. But Naas just have a knack, and they find a way to get over the line in these games. And they're the champs for a reason. And I think they ain't going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I think so as well. I would have to back Naas as well. Like, I think there are some championships where you can throw in some crazy predictions, but this feels like one where it'd be very hard to stop Naas, in fairness. So we're all very much in agreement in regards to that. Moving on from the Kildare Football Championship, we do have the Laois Football Championship. And looking at it last year, St. Joseph's won the championship, beating Portlaoise. It was their first championship that they won in 23 years, first senior championship in 23 years. And actually, they're the only club other than Port Arlington and Portlaoise to win the championship since 2016. And even Stradbally, who won it in 2016, they're the only ones to have won it other than Portlaoise since 2006. So like, it has been very much dominated by Port Arlington and Portlaoise. And even just looking at the odds as well, like, they're all very much split between Portlaoise, Port Arlington and St. Joseph's. Few bookmakers there of Portlaoise's slight favourites. But Matthew, what would you be thinking? This feels like a championship that between them three clubs, it could probably go either way. But again, I suppose the knowledge maybe might be quite limited here.
To boost up on my knowledge, I looked at the results of the Laois Championship in the last few weeks, and around match day 1 and match day 2 and around that, Port Arlington actually lost to a club called Greg Cullen, if I pronounced that correctly, by 20 points to 115. So like, that was a big loss, I'd imagine, for Port Arlington to take. And Portlaoise, on the other hand, they beat Emo by 5-13 to 3-14. So they score a lot of goals. Evidently, obviously. So that was a good result for Portlaoise to take. And then St. Joseph's won their game as well in the Laois Championship on around the match day 1 mark as well. They beat look at it here, they beat Ballylinen by 2-17 to 6 points. So by the looks of them results, St. Joseph still look on a serious trail to do good in Laois. Maybe it's difference in opposition, I'm not entirely sure with them, but I think it's safe to say it'll be one of them three to win it. And the fact that Port Arlington lost the first day out probably just shows that they are lacking a bit. Maybe the defeat last year kind of it kicked them in a small bit after that. I think they lost to Port in the semi-final, then Port lost in the final to St. Joseph's. That was an incredible win by St. Joseph's. They were in my shock team of the year awards last year for a reason. Like, that was a big win in the Laois Championship last season. Look at the results so far. I wouldn't back against St. Joseph's doing it again, in all honesty. Like, that was a big result in one of the match days, 2-17 to 6 points. To beat any team by that margin by 17 points is a massive win to take. So I would say it's going to be between St. Joseph's and Port. Port Arlington don't seem to be on it this year. I'd probably go slightly Port just because of the history that they have at the Laois Championship, but St. Joseph's will not be far off in winning it again this season.
Yeah, like I think with Port Arlington, they've lost a good bulk of players that they had from 2022 and 2021. Like a lot of those lads have gone travelling, players have retired. So it is a much changed team really from the side of a couple of years ago, from what I've seen anyway and heard. Yeah, like interesting enough, that team you mentioned, Grey Cullen, they're 4 favourites. Looking at it here, like on odds checker. So make of that what you will. But Seamus, what would you be thinking here?
Yeah, I kind of would like to echo what Matthew said. I'm probably leaning towards Port. I think when you look over the last 2 decades, like Portlaoish's name is all over the Laois Championship. Like the players that they've had, whether it's Colin Parkinson, like they absolutely have dominated the Laois Championship. And like Zach Toohey as well is another absolute superstar that they've produced out of that club. And the truth is that they haven't been as successful in the last 5 years as their standards have demanded in the Laois Championship over the last 20 years. So they're in a little bit of a period where they need a championship, like no question about it. And losing in the final last year would have really stung them. St. Joseph's produced an incredible achievement last year, and definitely, as Matthew said, like the results that they got there in round 1, like that definitely is an eye opener. It's definitely one that's like would make you sit up and take notice of the start that they have made. But in my opinion, Portlaoise beat a stronger opponent, and I think that I will slightly edge it to them to go and reclaim the Laois title.
There we go. I'm going to go a little bit left field with this one, and I'm going to go for O'Dempsey's to win it. Fifth favourites on there, 9-1 in the bookmakers. I think it's good odds. Just looking at it there, like they have a few players that are on the leash under 20s as well. So gonna go a little bit left field as you will. Moving on from that, then we have the Louth Senior Football Championship. Then, and just looking at it here in terms of the winners from last season, St. Mary's obviously coming out on top there. And they've actually won it in the last 2 years as well. You do have Nave Martin, though, who are probably one of the standout teams. They obviously do have Samuel Roy in their ranks, so that's a player obviously a lot of people very much think of when it comes to Louth. What would you be thinking here, Matthew?
Yeah, I think it's a straight toss up here between St. Mary's and Nave Martin. Like, Nave Martin have the best Louth player in the county in Samuel Roy. That's without question. He's an incredible footballer. And Nave Martin have experience of winning the Louth Championship as well. What I will say about RD St. Mary's, though, this is a club I've really kept an eye on over the last few seasons, because it's simply just involving myself. My own club actually played RD St. Mary's in the Fela under 14 level in 2014 with the likes of Darragh McConnell in and around. I think that team, you had Donald McKenny in and around. The two Jacksons and Tom and Liam were in that team as well. They beat my club that time 2-18 to no score in a 30-minute game. So, like, you could see the potential that they had that time, and even them going into why they won 2 in a row in Louth as well. Like, they have incredible footballers. They've been on a road for a long time now in this Louth Championship. Like, Donald McKenny scored the goal against Cork. Obviously, Tom and Liam Jackson are outstanding footballers. Darragh McConnell's been very good in club level over the last few seasons, and that group of players has been together for a long time now. They've been for the bulk of, I'd say, more than 10 years, maybe 12, 13 years in the same age group, from under 12, under 14, right up to senior. This has been a really good story from an RD St. Mary's point of view. And I think that we will win 3 in a row. I think the momentum is there, and I think they will win 3 in a row. But Nave Martin with Samuel Roy will take serious stopping as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, no, Nave Martin are serious contenders, no doubt about it. And even looking at the odds as well, like it very much is split between St. Mary's and Nave Martin. You do have St. Mocta's in there as well as maybe a bit of an outside shout. Newtown Blues have been, I suppose, knocking on the door in the last couple of years as well. What would you be thinking, Seamus?
Yeah, no, again, like the top three that you listed there, Mocta's, Nave Martin, and Mary's, like they're definitely the three obviously ones that you look at. And Mary's last year, like they were solid enough when they got out of, Louth, and they competed well in the Leinster Championship. Like they definitely look like they're trying to build a platform to then make a push to go further into the Leinster Championship. And like when you look at the standard like of Louth football in general, it's just improving across the board. So like I wouldn't be surprised if the Louth champions actually do put up a big test to whoever they come up with it in the Leinster Championship, even if it is the Dublin champions when it's all said and done. Yeah, like I probably am going to go with Nave Martin just based off the fact that Sam O'Roy is in the form of his life, and like you've seen how he just led Louth time and time again, constantly led the way. And you think about when you're looking in the championship, did Sam O'Roy make any mistakes really for Louth? Like did he miss any free that he took? Did he miss any shot at the post that he took? Like very, very rarely made any mistakes. And I think when you bring that kind of leader, that kind of captain figure into your county team, you can build a championship winning side around him. And I think while RD St. Mary's have had incredible success over the last few years, I think maybe looking at how up in Derry, like Glen were just able to edge Stockneil all that time over the last few years. But now this year Stockneil have edged them. I think maybe this is the year that Nave Martin edge Mary's RD.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to go with Nave Martin as well. Like as you said, with the talent that they have in Mulroy, Darragh McConnon. Interesting enough, like Jim McGuinness was involved with that club a couple of years ago as well. So they do have quite the influence over them. So I am going to back them to come true. Looking at the Longford Football Championship, Carlow Young Emmets won it last season. It was their first county title since 2020. Obviously, a name that does stand out here is Mulliniochta, and obviously that was because of the shock they obviously caused a good couple of years ago, beating Kilmacud Crokes, funnily enough, as well. You do have Dromard in there as well as one of the favourites. Dromard there coming in as third favourites according to most bookmakers, and they last won the Longford Championship in 2007 as well, which is interesting. So like looking at it there, it looks like, according to odds anyway, that it's going to be between Young Emmets and Mulliniochta, Matthew. But when you actually think about it, this could be a championship really that kind of goes either way, because like, or could go anyway, because I'm not too sure if Mulliniochta they haven't won it since 2021. A lot of their key players probably aren't in the side anymore, so it's kind of hard to know if they're still the same force as they were like a good couple of years ago.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here, lads. I'm going to go for Culkill to win it. Not either Monaghan or Carlow Young Emmets. I've looked at the results in this, the Longford Championship in the past few match days. Monaghan only beat Clongwish by 310 to 18 points. That was 18 scores to 13. The goals got them out of jail that day. So I just feel like this isn't the same Monaghan team that was there, that achieved greatness in Leinster championships down through the years. I don't think this is the same team whatsoever, and I just feel like there's a bit of vulnerability about them. Carlow Young Emmets only beat Moss-Trim 9 points to 1-2, so that would probably indicate to me that they're a more defensive side and they don't have more of an attacking outlet in them. So I just feel like that will come back to bite them as well. Whereas Culkill in one of their first games, they beat St. Mary's Grenard by 2-14 to 1-9. They are a serious team, and they won Longford, I think, 2 years ago as well. So I'm going to say Culkill will win it just because of recent results and things like that. I don't think Monaghan are the same team. I think Culkill will win Longford.
Yeah, a few comments here. Aidan says there's been a trend where the runners-up win the All-Ireland in the following year for the past 3 years in a row. It's actually a very good point. When you think about it, like Kilkew obviously losing the final, they go on to win it the next year. Same with Crokes, and then obviously the same again with Watty Graham's Glen. So could that be a sign that maybe Bridget's get over the line in 2025 as it will be? Who knows? Gavin says, do you think it would be more than likely Crokes or Naas who win Leinster? Or could any of those teams from different counties win it. There's definitely a few good counties in the mix, like Éire Óg, as we said, mightn't be potentially a million miles off. You're looking at we'll obviously
I'd
go
more
through
look at someone like Mary's or Nave Martin, to be honest.
Nice as well, like are definitely in the mix.
Because the Meath clubs have a bad record in Leinster.
They do, yeah, they do. But before we get on to the Meath Football Championship, the Longford Football Championship, Seamus, give us your prediction there.
As Matthew said, like Colmcille's definitely are there within a shout. The Monaghan team certainly isn't what it used to be. It certainly isn't. Like, and that was part of the fairy tale around that game. That was 2018, so that's 6 years ago. And when Mullinock did that, their team was made up of lads in their early to mid 30s, like the McGivney brothers, John Keegan, Donald McGilligan, Shane Mulligan. Like these lads were all early 30s, so a lot of them have packed up and aren't there anymore. So they have completely changed in terms of the personnel in the team. Like there are sides there like the Colmcilles that I would find as a threat, but I'd probably shade it to Carlow Young Emmets. I actually like the squad that they've got. Have some very talented players in there. Like there is obviously still danger with Mullinock, especially like if they can get their best 15 out on the pitch. Like if they can get the like Jareen Brady there. I don't know if he is at full form there for Longford. I know he wasn't playing for the Longford County team this season, but if they can get him there, he's a superb player, and they can build a forward line around him, and that could spearhead their challenge. But I probably will lean to Carlow Young Emmets right now.
There we go. Moving on from that. Well, actually, in my prediction, to be fair, I'll go with Mullinock. You know what, we've betted against them there. I'm going to say they make a bit of a recovery. The last dance for Mullinock, maybe a bit like the Dublin footballers last season.
Aaron, I will have to peace out at this point, but
perfect.
I wish you lads the best of luck.
Give us an All-Ireland prediction there before you jump off.
Before I go, which one do you want? Football, hurling?
Football, yeah. Just be football, yeah.
Just football. Okay. Hard. This one's very, very difficult.
Say Castlehaven.
You're saying Castlehaven?
No, I just said say Castlehaven.
Say Castlehaven. What about Clonakilty? Would that make you feel great?
Not good this year. It's not good.
Let's say White. I'll say Ballybowden St. Dennis Farron. Maybe Whitehall Kill for myself. I think the All Ireland. This is stab in the dark. I think I'm looking at either St. Bridget's or Slotneil. I'll go Slotneil. There we go.
Slotneil is the prediction.
No.
Wait. It's locked in. You can't change now. Oh wait, we're going back.
Bridget's. I'll go Bridget's.
There we go. I think that's probably is the safer bet, to be fair, because it's tricky predicting Slotneil when you've got just the All Ireland champions, Grahamsglen in there. But yeah, no, appreciate you jumping on, and sure, we'll chat again.
All right, chat again soon, lads. Enjoy.
Good stuff. Moving on to the Meath Football Championship. Summerhill won that last year, beating Ratoath, and no surprise, they are the favourites. It is very much between them, Ratoath or Wolf Tones, Matthew. So I suppose, like, looking at this, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, Summerhill have some wealth of county players in their team as well.
They do, yeah. This is a very, very tough one to predict. Look at the results from one of the first match days. Wolf Tones only beat Gaelicfantv 9 points to 8. So, again, a defensive team. Would that be go ahead to catch them? I'm not entirely sure. Ratoath lost in their first game as well. I'm trying to check their results here. I think Summerhill won their opening game. Yeah, they beat Ballinabritty 10 points to 8. Ratoath lost to Screen 111 to 12 points. So I think the safe option is probably going to be Summerhill to win it. Simonstown Gaels looked decent enough, 115 to 112 win over the Fina. There was another decent team I was going to look at as well from a Meath point of view. Looking now, yeah, St. Colmcilles, they beat Saint, I'm going to butcher that, St. Chilstown or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong, Meath fans, but that is a hard name to pronounce. They beat them 3-12 to 13 points in the opening day. That's an 8-point victory, so that's a very good victory to get. So you know what? I think by the first match day, I'm going to go St. Columkills to win it. I think Summerhill will be very, very tough to beat as well. Rathoats don't seem to be the same team. Wolf Tone seem to be more of a defensive outfit. I'm going to go for St. Columkills though to win it. Attacking football all the way. I'm going to go for them to win it.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, looking at it from my point of view, looking at Rathout, like they have some amount of county stars in their side. Like they've got Brian McMahon in there, Daithí McGowan, we've got Jack Flynn, Joey Wallace, Eamon Wallace. Like Owen Frayne's a standout player there for Summerhill, and he was obviously one of the big players from a Meath perspective. But yeah, I don't think I can look past I suppose the talent that is in that Rathout team. So yeah, I'm going to go for Rathout to come out on top there in the Meath Senior Football Championship. Moving on from that, we have Offaly, very much been dominated by either Tullamore or Road, dating back as far as 2015. Farban were the only side who sort of went against the grain. They won it in 2019. No surprises really that either Tullamore or Road are favourites. You look at some of the players that are in the Tullamore ranks. You've got the likes of Cormac Egan in there as an example. Noel McNamee is obviously there for Road. So what would you be thinking here?
It's going to be, again, like Loud, there's going to be a toss-up. Road beat Ballycommon 2-11 to 7 points on the first day. And then Tullamore won their first game as well of the Offaly Senior Football Championship 3-11 to 1-5 against Bracknell. So this is going to be a tough one to call. I think it's going to be a toss-up between the two of them. I think youth over experience I'm going to go with. I'm going to go for Tullamore to win it. Cormac Egan, like you mentioned there, he's their star man. The star man for Road is Noel McNamee, and Noel has been on the road for, no pun intended, for so many years now, in an Offaly shirt and in club level as well. So feel like youth will topple experience. So I think Tullamore will win the Offaly Championship.
There we go. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you that as well. And I think when you look at recent results as well, like for Tullamore in particular, obviously winning the championship last season, they've got some star players in their ranks as we mentioned before. So I'm going to go with Tullamore as well. Looking at the Westmeath Football Championship, St. Lomans won it last season, beating Coralstown Kinnegad by 7 points. St. Lomans do have like a serious team within their ranks. You've got Ronan O'Toole in there. You've got John Heslin in there as an example. But don't look past the Downs. They won it in 2022. And obviously a standout player there is Luke Loughlin, county footballer with the Westmeath footballers as well. And looking at the odds, most bookmakers do have St. Lomans as favourites and the Downs as second favourites. So I suppose like when you like with St. Lomans, they have the county stars in there. But like looking at like they've only won 3 of the last 5, so it's not exactly a dynasty as such from a St. Lomans point of view.
It isn't really, and they both sides won their opening round games as well. St. Lomans beat Calgary 3-10 to 3-6, so very unconvincing for St. Lomans kind of levels. 4-point victory over a club that, to be honest, so I don't know much about. And then the Downs won comfortably their opening game as well, so it is going to be between them two. I'd have to go by looking at the players that they have done. I think St. Lomans have a serious wealth of options, like Ronan O'Toole, for example. John Heslin, like two of those are the best 2 county players in Westmeath, and St. Lomans have them in their club ranks. So I think it's going to be difficult to bet against St. Lomans to win this championship, and I feel like St. Lomans will get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I will agree with you on that one as well. Maybe a bit of an outside shout is Athlone. I think Ray Canellan does play for them, so he might maybe be. They might be a bit of an outside shout there. Looking at them, they're 6th favourites, according to most bookmakers there. But to be fair, they haven't won it in donkey's years. So, yeah, I think I'll agree with you there. I think looking at it between Lomans and Downs, probably would back Lomans with the star-studded players that they do have. After that, it's the Wexford Senior Football Championship. Shelmaliers have won this twice in the last 3 seasons. They won it last season by a point against Castletown. Liam Mellows, standout player here. Interesting enough, Owen O'Gara has been a bit of a feature for Shelmaliers in recent years. Not entirely sure if he's involved again this season. But again, like Shelmaliers do have a whole host of star players, county players within their ranks. So they will be hard to topple.
Yeah, they will be. Shelmaliers have some excellent players that they perform brilliantly in Leinster Championships down through the years. They got Naas extra time as well, but their manager at that time, I think, was John Hagerty, and he's now obviously the Wexford senior football manager. So, look, Shelmaliers, they beat Naas recently 2-12 to 2-9. Castletown, Liam Mellows beat Glenbarntown 1-12 to 1-10. So both sides won a few of their opening games. It's hard to bet against Shelmaliers, though. Like, that's a good result against a Naas, a team. They're a very good dual club in Wexford, very well known, obviously. Glenbarntown is a good football team as well. Castletown, Liam Mellows beat them by 2 points. It's a hard one to judge. I'd probably go Shelmaliers just because of the other experience that they have. Obviously, Owen O'Gara among their ranks as well, and they've Ross Bandwell, who's a very good footballer in his own right as well. So I'd go for Shelmaliers to win it, but Castletown, Liam Mellows are definitely the second in command in Wexford.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and even looking at it there, like with Castletown, they've been to 2 of the last 4 finals, and like they've both been narrow defeats, as well. In saying that, actually they've been in 3 of the last 4 finals. They actually won it in 2022 as well, beating Shelmaliers. So I'm going to go with Castletown to get back on top. Like, they do have the experience of getting to a couple of finals, and even like looking at it there as well. Like, in terms of Shelmaliers, they haven't been able to win back-to-back county titles since they won it back in 2018. So yeah, gonna go with Castletown to get over the line. Looking at the Wicklow Football Championship then. So looking at it last season, Blessington came out on top via a replay versus Rathnew. Rathnew were a team that a lot of people sort of gravitated towards, especially when they beat Vincent's all those years ago. But looking at it there, you've got, like, even looking at the last 4 seasons, like Blessington have won it twice in the last 3 years, and they do have some county stars within their ranks. You've got St. Patrick's 2022, Baltinglass in 2020. So like, looking at it there, probably going to be between either Blessington or St. Patrick's. If I had to put my money on it, probably go with Blessington.
Thing is, though, and I know this is recently biased and things like that, but Blessington did lose one of their opening games to Baltinglass 116 to 12 points in Wicklow. So that's probably skewed my opinion away from them. I know Blessington have some excellent players like Kevin Quinn. I'm a huge fan of him for Wicklow in the forward line, but Baltinglass beating them by that much, that is definitely an eye-opener. Arrow Greystones look to be decent enough. They beat Arklow 2-11 to 2-9 as well. So they probably look in serious fettle. I think Baltinglass look the serious favourites to win Wicklow after that result against Blessington. Rathnew beat Breamets 2-10 to 10 points. So that's an excellent result from their point of view as well. And of course, they got to the final last year, as you mentioned. I think it's going to be either Rathnew or Baltinglass that's going to win this championship. Like, that's an excellent result that Baltinglass did get against Blessington by 7 points. That's an excellent result to get against the current county champions. I just feel like the hurt from last year and the fact they beat a decent side like Breamets by 6 points in one of the first match days, I think that would be good in going through the championship. And I just feel like Rathnew will get it done in Wicklow this year. 2-10 to 10 points, as mentioned, against Breamets. That's a good result to get. And I feel like Rathnew are going to be the Wicklow champions this season.
There we go. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Blessington prediction there. As I was saying before, I think they've been in phenomenal form. Or obviously they were not in phenomenal form losing this year. But of course they did win the county championship last year, and having a player like Kevin Quinn within their ranks, I think will do the business. So that's everything wrapped up from a Leinster perspective. We'll have a look at the Munster counties, and then we will give our predictions as well in terms of who we think will win the various different club or various different provincial club football championships. Looking at Clare, first of all, the Clare Football Championship, Carlow won that last year. It was their first county title since 2014. Arrow Guinness and Milltown Malby, St. Joseph's there are 2 of the favourites. So looking at it there, like Carlow, like they very much won it against the odds last season. Like, not many people were expecting them to come out on top. What would you be thinking here?
I'm surprised you didn't mention Arrow Guinness as one of the favourites there. Like, they have some serious talent. Gavin Cooney, if he's still about. Ike Muguero is an excellent player, as we've seen in the Clare County team this season. So they have some serious players. David Reedy, Clare Hurler, is a very good footballer as well in and around the lines for Aero Guinness, obviously. Darren O'Neill, I don't know, is he still playing for the club? I'd imagine he is. He's a tower of a midfielder for them as well. And as well as that, Carlow in one of their first games of the Clare Championship, I'm trying to look at it now, they drew against Ennis-Time and 14 points to 111. So I feel like our Carlow up to it that much this season. Not so sure. Aero Guinness beat Kilmahill in one of their first games 3-18 to 4 points. That's a hammering. It really is. I think this is a close one to call. I think Aero Guinness is probably safe bet to go with, though. That's a big win to get against Kilmahill. Maybe Carlow can recover because a draw isn't obviously the worst result in the world in its time and are decent side in their own right as well. So yeah, I feel like Aero Guinness are probably the favourites for this championship. And the fact they didn't win it last year, they'll be dying to win it this year. So I just feel like Aero Guinness have the firepower and the capabilities to get over the line in Clare this season.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Milltown Malby to get over the line. I think Owen Cleary, like star player there, obviously not having played with the Clare footballers, obviously this year as well. I think he's going to be a key player. And it is actually Aero Guinness who are the favourites. So might have maybe mentioned another club there by accident, but it is Aero Guinness who are the favourites in Clare. Moving on from that, we do have the Cork Football Championship, or the Cork Premier Football Championship, as they like to call it. A little bit more of an oomph to it, I suppose. Looking at it, Castlehaven won this last year. Nemo Rangers won it the year previous. Interesting enough, if you look back at my predictions, I've actually, bizarrely enough, gotten my predictions correct with the Cork Football Championship in the last 2 seasons. And they've been like against the grain predictions as well in many ways. But Matthew, I'll leave this over to you. Who's going to win the Cork Premier Football Championship?
I've been rambling about with sort of championships now, but I know I like to think anyway. I know my stuff. I do reporting for a bit of reporting, obviously, for the Echo and the Southern Star as well. So I'd like to think I know a bit about the Cork Championship in general. But over the last few seasons, it has been 3 teams. It has been Nemo Rangers, Castlehaven, St. Finbarrs. This season, and as Dennis Hurley said in the Echo podcast during the week, it is one team. It's Castlehaven. Over the last 2 results, it's gone 2 rounds in the Cork Championship now. Castlehaven have brushed Clonakilty aside by 6 points, and they beat St. Michael's by 19 points in round 2 as well. That was an absolute slaughtering. Jack Callan scored 2-5 from play 2 games. Brian Hurley's done well as well. You look at Mark Collins has slotted into his wing-back role really, really well. Conor Callan's been injured in the first 2 games, and yet Castlehaven have nearly eased past 2 of their opposition. Michael Hurley went off injured early on against St. Michael's, and they've still did well without him. Rory Maguire, like, they've excellent players, Castlehaven. It was about winning the first championship, and as soon as they won the Cork Championship, and as soon as they won Munster and been in that semi-final against Bridges in the All-Ireland, they've just brought on to a new whole nother level in this championship in Cork. It's fair to say. Nemo, to be fair to them, they've won their first 2 games as well. They beat Aero by 4 points in match day 2. They also beat I'm trying to think off the top of my head who they beat in match day 1. They beat Ballincollig in match day 1 by, I think it was about more than 5 points. So that was an excellent result for Nemo Rangers. But the thing is about Nemo Rangers, and people may not know this, Luke Connolly has retired from club level, inter-county level, because of a persistent knee problem. So that's a huge loss for Nemo Rangers. Paul Kerrigan's still around the block. That's a big boost for them to have in terms of experience. There's one player for Nemo Rangers that definitely should be watched out for. Mark Cronin's very good as well. But Ross Corkery, he's Colin Corkery's son. He's done well in the last few games. He's hit, I think, 6 points from playing 2 games. He's been excellent form, and he's done well in underage grades for Cork over the last few seasons. And he is definitely a starless in that Nemo forward line, and is definitely the one to watch in this club championship. So I think Nemo are probably the second best in the county. And this is a surprise. I would have probably said the Bars before Bob was even kicked. But in match day 1, they struggled to beat Douglas. This is a Douglas team that had lost 2 games on the bounce in Cork. And then, as I mentioned at the start of the show, they lost to Mallow in one of the shocks of the Cork Championship so far by 2-12 to 2-10. This is a Mallow team that have done well over the last few seasons, reached 1 quarter-final and have been solid enough in the Cork Championship. But this is a Mallow team also that have 1 recognised inter-county player at senior level. That's Matty Taylor in the half-back line. Shane Merritt is a decent player in midfield for Mallow as well. But when you look at the whole landscape of that Mallow team, you'd feel like how on earth the Bars lost to them. Like 2-12 to 2-10, as I mentioned. Sean McDonald did well in that game, but the Bars still had Brian Hayes, Stephen Sherlock, Ian Maguire, Ethan Toomey, William Buckley. They had some brilliant players in that team, St. Finn Bars, and they still managed to lose that game. And the situation for the Bars now in the last group game against Valley Rovers, they have to win. If they draw or lose to Valley Rovers, they're out of the Cork Championship by the group stage. So that would be one of the shocks of the championship, in all honesty. I think by the looks of the results so far, you'd have to go for Castlehaven to win it. And the thing is as well, like if Castlehaven get out of Cork, I think they're a dangerous team for anybody in Munster and in the All-Ireland, the beyond as well. I think they're a very, very good team. Like you look at the players that they do have: Brian Hurley, Michael Hurley, Conor Callahan, Damien Callahan, Rory Maguire, Jack Callahan, Sean Brown, Mark Collins. Like they have serious players all over the pitch. They have a different manager now. Shawnee Callahan's come in instead of James McCarthy, but Shawnee Callahan has been in the regime with James McCarthy over the last few seasons. So Castlehaven definitely have a very good standard to get it done in Cork and to get it done in Munster and in the All-Ireland as well. I think Castlehaven would be very, very hard to stop. Neemore probably the second in command team to go ahead and stop them, but I feel like Castlehaven are the team to stop. In terms of probably underdogs and maybe sides that would cause a shock here, they're Mallow, you have to say so. After beating St. Finn Bars, they are a team that definitely have to be looked at. Clonakilty would have been over the last few seasons, but they've only drawn one game and lost one out of the last two games. They drew to Kerry Rangers last weekend, which was a bad result for Clonakilty in many standards, really. I'd probably go Castlehaven. Like they're the obvious pick. They look at serious fettle to win the Cork Championship this season. I think they're going to be a serious team to beat in Munster as well. I think they look in serious form at the moment. That to beat Michaels like they did last day by 19 points, I think they're going to be a serious team to stop. And I think Castlehaven will win the Cork Championship. It's a mystery to me whether they'll win the Munster Championship, but they're definitely capable of doing so for the second season in a row.
Yeah, like I mean, it's interesting. Like, what's happened to the Bars in your opinion? Because I remember when they obviously won the Cork Football Championship, back in 2021, they obviously came through Munster as well, and got as far as the semi-finals. And I remember after that, you were looking at some of the players that they had in Ian Maguire. You obviously had Brian Hayes in there, Stephen Sherlock, like so many star players. But like, what's happened with the Bars in the last couple of seasons? Like, why is it that they haven't been able to kick on? Like I remember you even mentioning a couple of years ago that they were outside shouts maybe to go on an All-Ireland push. So what's gone wrong there?
It's a difficult one to pinpoint because the likes of Stephen Sherlock have done well in this championship. He scored 211 in 2 games, so it's not necessarily him. Ian Maguire scored a point as well and has been a colossal figure in midfield for the game I watched anyway against Douglas. That was live on Rebels Online. The game against Mallow, unfortunately, wasn't live on Rebels Online. I read the report from Barry O'Mahony from the Echo, to be fair to Barry, and he explained the game very well on the Echo podcast this week as well. And I just think, by the body language, what Barry was explaining about the body language of Brian Roach, their new manager coming in to the Bars team this season, he just looked so kind of disappointed after the game against Mallow. And it's a difficult one, as I mentioned, to pinpoint, because in the semi-final against Castlehaven, they were within 2 points of beating Castlehaven, who went on to win a Munster Championship and went on to play Bridges in the semi-final as well. Against Nemo 2 years ago at the Cork final, they were very, very close to beating them as well. Like, it's a difficult one, really is. They're missing Billy Hennessy this year for some strange reason. I don't know, is he gone off the panel completely? I don't know, is it an injury reason for him? Sam Ryan, I think, is an Achilles injury, has mentioned by the Cork press as well. Like, that's a big loss around the back line. I think he's, on his day, is probably one of Cork's best defenders at club level anyway. Like, it's a difficult one to pinpoint. Like, yeah, Paul O'Keefe, their manager over the last few years, has left his post, but then Jimmy Barry Murphy has come into the backroom team for the Bars in the off season. So, like it's a difficult one to pinpoint on how they've regressed so much in many ways. Like, but maybe the pressure cooker situation might be a good thing against Valley Rovers in the next few weeks. But then again, like, one more mess up and they're out of the championship. Like, it's a difficult one to pinpoint on how they've regressed so much. I think main thing as well, they have to balance hurling and football. I know some players don't do don't do football and don't do hurling, and vice versa. Like Ben Cunningham doesn't do the football, Stephen Sherlock and Ian Maguire doesn't do the hurling. But then you have Brian Finn Hayes, Ethan Toomey, William Buckley, who do both. So, and they're big players in the Bars team, especially Brian Hayes, who's a colossal player around the middle of the park for Bars, or at full forward as well. So it's a difficult one to pinpoint, but I think that might be one of the reasons why they're regressing so much in many ways. Maybe hurling and football, it's being a main kind of factor over the last few seasons, and why the Bars are regressing. Because when you look at Nemo and Castlehaven, Nemo, they have a hurling team at junior A level, but obviously that's junior A Premier. They got promoted to Premier Junior this year, but that's fifth tier of Cork hurling, so that's very, very low. So all the eggs are into the basket for the football. Castlehaven don't have a hurling team, so all the eggs are into the basket really, really 100% for the football. Other than Damien Callahan, Conor Callahan and Jack Callahan, obviously, who are Bars players, coincidentally enough, for the hurling level. So, like the likes of Mark Collins, Brian Hurley, Michael Hurley, all play football 100%. So I think that might be a main thing for the Bars, that it's hard to kind of juggle hurling and football. Some clubs do it well, other clubs don't. The Bars have done well over the last few years with it, but maybe the energy level of that has maybe caught up to them over the last few seasons, and that's why maybe Castlehaven and Nemo Rangers have taken up the mantle and have done well over the last few seasons, with hurling not being a priority for them clubs.
Yeah, like I think for my prediction, I think I'm going to go with Castlehaven as well. I think to win back to back titles, as you said, they're in flying form. Brian Hurley, obviously there, who's sort of been a star player, obviously over the last couple of seasons. Nemo Rangers losing Luke Connolly, like that's going to be a massive blow. And as you said, with the Bars, maybe the split with football hurling there is maybe affecting them ever so slightly. Moving on from that, we do have the Kerry Football Championship. And interesting enough, the Kerry... So you have two championships in Kerry. You have the Kerry Club Football Championship and the County Championship. And the Club Football Championship is through to the final. So it's Dingle and Dr. Crokes, and that final is happening on the 1st of September. Crokes beat Rathmore in the semi-finals by a narrow margin of 210 to 115. And then Dingle beat Kenmare Shamrocks, and I was looking at a match report there just before I started speaking about it, and Dingle actually scored 4 goals in 4 minutes versus Kenmare Shamrocks, so a bit of a mental game there, but they did get over the line. So I suppose firstly, in regards to the Club Football Championship, who's going to win? I mean, at least we have a 50% chance of getting this one right.
Definitely. So, coincidentally enough, I probably would have thought to myself Dingle were going to be the 2 in a row victors, and there was kind of the worry at the back of my mind as well, because when you looked at the Kerry champions the next season, they all went down over the last 2 seasons. Like you look at Austin Stacks, won the championship in the club level and county level, coincidentally, then went down the next season. Kieran O'Reilly's won the club championship, went down the next season. We wondered would it happen to Dingle, but I just felt a kind of an inkling that Dingle have some serious talent, and they do have a team that is going to compete in Kerry as well. Like Paul Gainey, Dylan Gainey's an excellent player. Cathal Banbury did well against Kenmare Shamrocks as well. Darragh Sullivan, Billy O'Connor. Like there are some very good players in the Dingle team, and Thomas Sullivan as well, who I think was injured coincidentally for the Kenmare Shamrocks game. He might recover for the final. So like that's another player to add to their arsenal in many ways. So yeah, I think Dingle looking very good fettle to go on and win this championship. Dr. Crokes, good results against Rathmore as well. I feel like Dr. Crokes, like the gooch has been missing for them over the last few seasons, and the question mark about them is, do they have the firepower that to replace the gooch? Like they have Tony Brosnan, they have Keane McMahon, who's coming in underage as well. Like they have some excellent players from Fitzgerald in the full back line, as well as a very good captain to have, or leader in many ways to have in that team. And Shane Murphy's a good goalkeeper there for Dr. Crokes as well. I feel like in the club championship, I feel like Dingle would have the upper hand on them. There was a moment there, I watched the end of that Kenmare Shamrocks and Dingle game. There was a moment in that you would have felt that Dingle were under a lot of pressure in that game. And Kenmare Shamrocks have some brilliant players like Stephen O'Brien and Sean O'Shea as well. But Dingle got over the line there. I just feel like they have enough to get over the line this championship as well. And I think Dingle and Castlehaven could be a rivalry for the ages in Munster. They went at it until the penalty shootout last year. I think they could be the Munster finalists this year. I don't know what off the top of my head the draw is for the Munster Championship, but I think if they are to be kept apart, I think that could be the final pairing between Dingle and Castlehaven. I think one of them will win Munster Championship at the end. So I feel like Dingle will have enough to beat Dr. Crokes in the end.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think obviously the power of both Dylan Gainey, Paul Gainey, as you said, Tony Brosnan, very good player from a Crokes perspective. But Dingle, to be fair, like have been really knocking on the, like I obviously won it last season in the final the year previous. So yeah, I think I will go with Dingle to get over the line. You do have the County Football Championship as well, and that's very much been dominated by East Kerry. So they've won it 4 of the last 5 times. And for people who aren't aware, the reason why Kerry have 2 club championships within their county, they have divisional sides, and the main reason for that is just to give every player a chance to play in a county championship. And that's why you'll have junior players playing in these championships. Sometimes you'll have intermediate players. And East Kerry are, look, the top dogs when it comes to this championship. Won it 4 of the last 5 times. When you actually go through some of the players that they have, they're almost a county team. Like they've got David Clifford, they've got Paddy Clifford in there, like an absolute force to be reckoned with. And it's like, I suppose with the county championship, because like a lot of these players aren't used to playing together, you can get some mad results every now and again. And like interesting enough, Austin Stacks, they won it 2 years ago, got relegated a year later, and they still haven't even come back yet. So yeah, like you would look at it and think East Kerry are the favourites, but would you be going with anyone else there?
To be honest, no. I think Dingle will probably be the second in command. I think Dingle will definitely test East Kerry all the way. Meath Kerry, you might question, Matt, you don't know what you're talking about. Meath Kerry hammered Dingle last year, with Dingle scoring 1 point from play. The thing is with Meath Kerry, though, they were backbone by some of the Milltown Castlemaine players, and Milltown Castlemaine have now gone up to senior. So they've lost a lot of players, Meath Kerry. So I feel like it was a situation where the intermediate final last year between Fossa and Milltown Castlemaine, the winner of that game, the divisional side, will suffer hugely. And unfortunately for Meath Kerry, it was Milltown Castlemaine that won it, and Milltown Castlemaine players aren't obliged to play in this championship. They aren't allowed to play because Milltown Castlemaine are obviously a senior side. If Fossa were to win the intermediate championship last year, we wouldn't have seen David Clifford or Paddy Clifford or Emmett O'Shea line out for East Kerry this year. That would have been a massive loss to them. I feel like, though, now that they've kept those players, there's nothing stopping them. I think East Kerry are going to win a 5th championship in six seasons. I think East Kerry are going to do so, and I think they're going to do so by a considerable enough margin. I think Dingle will probably be the closest to them, but I think East Kerry will get the job done.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like they've a star-studded side, and I think they will go and get the job done. Moving on from there, the Limerick Football Championship then, Newcastle West have won this the last 3 years in a row. Notable player in their ranks is Ian Corbett, their captain. They've got Emmett Richter in there as well, who is a county star with the Limerick side. There have been the closest challengers. They got to the last 3 finals and lost all of them. They are the last team to win the county championship other than Newcastle West, though, and that was in 2020. And interestingly enough, Monaghan are the last team to win the Limerick Football Championship other than Adair or Newcastle West. And it's no surprise looking at the odds. It is between either Newcastle West or Adair, but I think most bookmakers are certainly betting for Newcastle West to come out on top here.
Probably so, yeah. It's probably going to be on the outsider anyways between Adair and Newcastle West, obviously. Like Newcastle West have some brilliant players other than Ian Corbett as well. I'm not sure what the situation is with Cian Sheehan. Is he coming back from Australia? If he is, that's a huge boost to have. Like they have some very good players. Emmett Richter obviously is one of Limerick's best players at inter-county level as well. Aside, I think Newcastle West will win it, no doubt about it. But aside to watch actually is Munster at St. Paul's. They got to the intermediate Munster Championship final last year. They won the Limerick Intermediate Championship last season. I feel like momentum is a big thing. They only lost to Kildare last year, who from Cork, who reached the All-Ireland intermediate final against St. Pat's or Cullyhanna last year. I think Munster at St. Paul's are a team to watch. I really think so. I think momentum is a big thing in club level, and I think that could drive a team so far. So I think they could be a dark horse for the Limerick Championship this year by the looks of their intermediate exploits last season. But I feel like it's going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be a Dare or Newcastle West, and I feel like Newcastle West will get over the line. I think they have done so in many Limerick Championships over the last few seasons. I don't see their run stopping.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like a lot of the finals have been fairly handy as well. Like they've come through a lot of them fairly comfortably. And as we saw when Newcastle West, like they got to, was it a Munster final a couple of seasons ago as well. Like, so they're very, very dominant. It has to be said in Limerick at the moment. Moving on to the Tipperary Football Championship, Clonmel Commercials are a standout team here. They have the likes of Mickey Quinlivan in their ranks, who doesn't play with the county side. You've got Jack Kennedy in there, who's another player worth mentioning. Kevin Fahey's in the side as well. Loughmore Castleiney are the only team to win it in the last 5 years. And they obviously have the McGraths in there, who both play football and hurling. Whether they'll both be involved playing football or hurling this year, I'm not entirely sure. How would you be going for this one? Again, a bit like the Limerick Football Championship, probably very hard to go against Clonmel here. And even looking at it, they scored 6 goals in the final last year versus JK Bracken. So very hard to go against them here.
It is, but at the same time, and even looking at club results and stuff like that, I'm kind of lucky to have these club results just to give an eye into these predictions. But you mentioned Loughmore Castleiney were the only side to stop them in a certain year over the last few seasons. In a group game, these two sides played against each other, and the game was a draw. Clonmel Commercials 15 points, Loughmore Castleiney 2-9. So I feel like if they are to be separated in the draw in Tipperary, I think these two will make the final. Like a draw, that's a dangerous result for either side, because it's a new game, it's a new slate coming into the final after that. I feel like I'm gonna go for Clonmel just about because of the players that they have. Like Jack Kennedy's a good player to have in that team as well, if he does play for them. I'm not sure what the situation is with Jason Lonergan. Is he still abroad? Is he still over in the States? Is he come back to play for Clonmel? Like, they have some very good players all over the field. You mentioned Mickey Quinlivan there. Like, Sean O'Connor is an excellent footballer for Tipperary and has been for so many years with the Tipperary inter-county team and for UCC and the Sigurdsson Cup as well at college level. I feel like Clonmel Commercials slightly are the favourites, but Loughmore Castleiney are definitely a team to be watched. But then again, we had this discussion in the Cork Championship with what separates the likes of Castlehaven and Nemo to St. Finbarrs. Maybe it's the same in Tipperary. Like Loughmore Castleiney are a decent side in Tipperary hurling. It's a difficult kind of a thing to balance both hurling and football, and that might catch Loughmore Castleiney in the end. So for that reason, I just feel like Clonmel Commercials will get over the line in Tipperary.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Clonmel as well. They have been very dominant. Could be Loughmore Castleiney, like they haven't, as you said, like they obviously won it back in a couple of years ago, and certainly aren't a million miles off. But obviously, with them obviously being a hurling club as well, and often going very far in the hurling championship, it probably does affect them ever so slightly. Caleb has a question here. Do you think that Glen will retain the All-Ireland, or do you think another team will dethrone them? We'll certainly get on to that. We will be moving on to onto the Ulster Championship straight after our Waterford Championship prediction. So Rathcormac have been fairly dominant there in the last couple of seasons. They beat the Noir in the final last season. It has really been between Rathcormac and the Noir over the last couple of years. Jason Curry is a standout player there for Rathcormac. What are you thinking here? I mean, our knowledge of Waterford football, I mean, some will say our knowledge of football in general is few and far between, but certainly Waterford football is scraping the barrel here. Like,
yeah, it doesn't help when I've been reading all the results and stuff throughout the video, but Waterford is one of 2 championships that start in September along with Tyrone. So we have no results to back us up in our opinions whatsoever. We have to, dig deep on this. But to be fair to Waterford, it has been either Rathcormac or the Noir over the last 2 seasons, and the Noir have been good Munster Championships gone by as well. In recent seasons as well, they beat Cork Club, Carby Rangers in 2016, a game that I'd remember for a long time because that was kind of embarrassing for Cork football, looking back at it in many ways. I feel like this is a tough one to call because it's been shared really between these 2 clubs. I'm going to go for Denier, different winner. Rathcormac won it last season. I think Denier, it's their time to win it this season. So I feel like Denier will go over the line. But then again, Denier do have Four-Mile Water as well. And Four-Mile Water were involved in a relegation playoff in the hurling championship in Waterford. So maybe they'd want to right those wrongs in the football. So I feel like Denier will be, will be focused on the job at hand to go ahead and win the football in Waterford.
There we go. There we go. We will give our picks for all the provincial championships towards the end. But we'll move on to Ulster then. We have the Antrim Football Championship. Looking at it last season, Erin's own Carrigan came out on top. They have actually won the 5 of the last 6 titles there. And looking at the odds, no surprise that Carrigan are very much the favourites. You do have St. Bridget's coming in there as the second favourites, which is interesting enough as well. But looking at it there, what would you be thinking? Like, again, like it's another championship that's a little bit dominant. And looking at it there, like just to throw a bit of a spanner in the works, like St. Mary's, who've got to the last 2 finals, or 2 of the last 3 finals. Dunloy got to the final actually last season. And interesting enough, like Dunloy obviously would be a predominantly hurling club by most people. And I know our good friend Kevin Kennedy from the GA Sports Tracker app, he's certainly probably the right man to ask about the Antrim Championship. But he's always banging on about Dunloy. Like they might be a good outside bet at potentially winning this championship.
Definitely so, and even to back up Kevin's points as well, in one of the Antrim first games as well, I read the score here, Dunloy beat Navan at 3-15 to 5 points. That's a serious score to put up, and I feel like they'll be a dark horse to win it. St. Mary's, I'm assuming you're meaning St. Mary's Gallen are 3-14 to 3-9 winners over Naomh Gall, so I think they'll be definitely up there to win the championship. But there's 2 St. Mary's, isn't there? There's St. Mary's Gallen. I know that's how people distinguish the Rory McCanns in the Antrim team. I think there's 2 St. Mary's. I'm not entirely sure, but St. Mary's Gallen are really good from the Antrim standpoint as well. Dunloy are as well. And even you look at Carrigan, as you mentioned there, they beat St. John's the first day out 2-13 to 8 points. So I think it's going to be between those 3 sides to win it. Shot in the dark, Kevin might know more about it, and obviously our good friend as well, Kevin McGorty from the JMAP podcast as well, might know more than us. Well, he will know more than us, let's be honest. We're not gurus on the Antrim Championship whatsoever. Safe bet, but I'd probably go for Carrigan to win it. They had good results against St. John's the last day, and I feel like that will be enough for me to pick them as winners. But I think Dunloy or Sears picked to go for as well. That's a serious result they put up the first day out. So I think they'll be close, but I think Carrigan will eventually get the job done.
Yeah, I'm actually going to back Dunloy to come out on top. Like when you look at the growth of what they had last year, getting to the final, I suppose when you look at some of the football that they're playing as well, some brilliant football, I think they'll get the job done, and I think they'll do it. And I think this might be one of them big surprises or big shocks that happens throughout different championships. You have the Armagh Football Championship, obviously the home of the All-Ireland winners. And could we see maybe an All-Ireland winner come from Armagh in the club championship as well? That's going to be interesting to see. Crossmaglen are a side that certainly comes to mind. And there's no surprise, obviously, there. They've won the last 2 championships. And they certainly are a name in history, obviously, as well, having won the most All-Ireland club titles. You do have Clan Éireann in there as well, and they do have Conor Turbitt in their ranks. And will certainly be one of the picks to go through. But obviously with Crossmaglen, when you have Rian O'Neill, Oisin O'Neill, Keema Conville in their ranks, I think Aaron Kernan has now retired, so I don't think he'll be involved with Crossmaglen. But yeah, like it's going to be interesting. We do have some other interesting clubs in there, like Mahary obviously won it a couple of seasons ago. They have Aidan Forker within their ranks. So yeah, like the Armagh Football Championship, I think as a neutral, it's definitely one of the championships I think I'm most interested in.
It definitely is. And match day 1 of the Armagh Championship, I don't know, did anybody catch this? This was like the TG Car. I was reporting on a Cork game, so I didn't see this. But Crossmaglen lost their first game against Clonagale 2-13 to 3-5. So is that an indication that the Crossmaglen team are slowing down a bit? And the fact that Aaron Cernan's out as well, is that experience head around the dressing room out of this team as well? I look at some of these teams in Armagh and I think they could seriously cause damage. Like Armagh Hearts are a team that I've watched closely as well when making predictions for this. They beat Monaghan on the first day out 4-12 to 11 points. So that's a serious score to put up. And they've Joe McElroy in their ranks as well, the guy that made the block of Paul Conroy in the All-Ireland final. So, and he had a very good game according to a friend that I have from direct messages from Armagh. So he could definitely be a player for the Armagh Championship to look out for. Clonairon, you mentioned him, Damearn as well. They beat, look at it here, they beat St. Peter's 13 points to 3 on the first day out as well. They could be definitely a team to watch in the Armagh Championship, and definitely Conor Turbot is some player to have in your at your disposal for Armagh. Macquarie lost the first day out to Madden 2-8 to 12 points, so maybe they might not be up to much. This is my first curveball really prediction here. I'm going to go for Aaron. And I have my reasons for this. I'm going to go for our Armagh Senior Football Championship winners to be St. Patrick's Cullyhanna. And many people will say, why? I'm telling you why. They won the Intermediate All-Ireland Championship last year. They beat Kildare in the final last year. On the first day out in the Armagh Championship, they beat Killavy 2-16 to 8 points. That's a hammering. It really is. They beat them by 14 points. That's a really good result to put up in an Armagh Championship. Not just that. They have some very good players coming through the ranks as well. Ross McQuillan, Jason Duffy, Aidan Nugent. That's the core of their team. They look really, really good at the moment. And I feel like the All-Ireland Intermediate win will be kind of the stepping stone to get them to win the Armagh Senior Football Championship. Armagh fans, ridicule me all you like. I'm going to go for a curveball prediction here. I'm going to go St. Patrick's Cullyhanna to win the Armagh Senior Football Championship.
Well, there we go. There we go. That is definitely an interesting one right there. Yeah, I think for myself, in terms of a prediction, I'm gonna go with Clan Aaron to get over the line there. I think with Crossmaglen, like I think maybe with the fact that Armagh obviously won the All Ireland a couple of weeks ago, like a lot of them key lads probably aren't involved, and probably like I think completely understandably so. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Clan Aaron there. Maybe Conor Turbot, obviously a massive standout player there, had an unbelievable year for Armagh as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Clan Aaron to get over the line. Moving on from the Armagh Football Championship, we do have the Cavan Football Championship. Gaona have won this in the last 2 seasons pretty comfortably as well. They beat Kings Court Stars 5-15-13 in last year's final. They beat Kildare the year before, very comfortable as well. Ramor United, they won the 2021 title. Crosserlock won it in 2020. Castle Rahan won it in 2019. So, like, Gaona probably the favourites there, or what are you thinking?
You'd like to think so, but on the first day out, they actually drew with Kings Court Stars 1-16 to 2-13. I think it's going to be a toss-up between those two club sides. In look at for the outside in the Cavan Football Championship, obviously our good friend John McMahon would know more about this than we would. But I'm going to go for Gaona again. I think they have some very good, strong players in that team. Even though, maybe I'll change my mind. Like Kings Court Stars, I'm not sure today have Jordan Morris in and around them ranks. Do they, Aaron? I think they have Jordan Morris in that team. Yeah. So they drew with Gaona in the first day out. I'm going to go for Kings Court Stars to win it. Just Jordan Morris is an excellent player for Meath, and the fact they drew to Gaona on the first day out as well, and the fact they could get goals 2-13 is a serious score to get 60 minutes as well. I think Kings Court Stars are going to be the ones to take this in Cavan, but Gaona will definitely push them all the way.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kings Court as well. As you said, like adding a player of the quality of Jordan Morris or having him back in the ranks, I think is absolutely huge. And yeah, like they've obviously been thereabouts over the last couple of years. They've been a heavily touted team within Cavan football as well. So yeah, they are going to be my picks coming out of Cavan as well. Looking at the Donegal Senior Football Championship, then the last winners in the last couple of seasons have been Naomh Cunnell, who've been able to win the competition in the last couple of seasons. They beat Dobber 1-16 to 1-8 as well in the final last season. St. Eunan's won it last in 2021. You do have Kilcarran there as well, like who've been sort of a side I've always looked towards. They have the likes of Patrick McBurty within their ranks. What are you thinking here, though? I mean, Naomh Cunnell have come through fairly comfortably the last couple of seasons. Are they going to come out on top again, do you think?
Not so sure. I'm really not so sure because Naomh Quinlan, I think, lost their opening game. I have to double check this, but St. Eunan's are definitely a team that I've watched over the last 2 seasons and have been impressed with them in some games, shown on TG Carr. Kilcar has some excellent players, obviously. Paddy McBrearty being the standout. He's a very, very good player to have in the team. I looked at Donegal. St. Eunan's beat Naomh Quinlan on the first day out 113 to 10 points. So that may be an indication that Naomh Quinlan might not be as good as many people think this season. Glenn's Willie won the first day out as well, 14 points to 2-6 against Clough Fiola. So they have Michael Murphy in their ranks, and Michael Murphy obviously doesn't play intercounty football anymore, so maybe he'll be fully ready to go for the Donegal Senior Football Championship, which is a massive boost to have for any team to have a fully blown Michael Murphy. Sean McQuinnells are definitely a team that could cause a surprise. Ocean Gallon's in that team. They beat Nicola Bioga by 112 to 110 on the first day out as well. Guidor beat Glunfina by 12 points on the first day out. Kilcar, as we mentioned, beat Naomh Niall by 10 points as well. It's a tough one for Donegal. I'm going to go for Kilcar to win it. Paddy McBrearty is a big player to have in that team. I just feel like they'll win it, and the fact they got a good result against Naomh Niall on the first day out, and the fact that Naomh Quinlan lost by 6 points to St. Eunan's on the first day out, I think Kilcar could be a team to watch in this championship. And Sean McQuinnells might be a dark horse as well with the likes of Ocean Gallon in the team, but I think Kilcar might be the ones to take in Donegal.
There we go. In terms of my prediction, I'm going to go for St. Eunan's. They have Niall O'Donnell in there. Shane O'Donnell, obviously, as well. Last team to win it, other than Naomh Quinlan as well. So I'm going to go for St. Eunan's to get over the line there. Looking at the Down Football Championship, Kilcoo have been the dominant force in the last 5 years, or even beyond that. Like, they've won every county title other than 2018 since 2011. So like, it's quite incredible there. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They've won 11 of the last 12 county titles. And it hasn't always been plain sailing. Like, they've needed extra time. They've needed penalties to come through games. But looking at Burren, who have a whole host of under 20 stars from that team from a couple of years ago, like, they are very much coming. And like, a lot of people backed them to come through it last year. It wasn't the case. Are Kilcoo too veterans, too experienced, or can there be an upset? Could this be the year maybe where the stranglehold is broken in the Down Football Championship?
Correct me if I'm wrong now, Aaron. Doesn't Liam Kerr and Owen Murdoch play for Burren?
They do.
I think they do. Yeah. They do. So this is an interesting one to predict. So I think Kilcoo, the levels that they've been up on over the last 2 seasons in Down and in the All-Ireland series as well, they are a serious team to beat. But the loss against Scottstown last year in the quarterfinal in Ulster might have knocked the stuffing out of them Kilcoo players. And Conor Laverty, I'm not sure, is he playing this year? Was he on the coaching staff for Kilcoo this season? Like, he's a big player to have if he is playing. But I think this might be a short prediction to many, but maybe not, because Burren have some serious talent. They have some serious talent in that team. Like, Liam Kerr and Owen Murdoch, or Paddy Burns of Armagh also plays for Burren. Yeah, that's another one as well. Oh, it's a tough one to predict. You know what? Because of the players that they have, Paddy Burns, as Killian just mentioned there, and Owen Murdoch, and Liam Kerr, I feel like Burren could win this. And the fact that Kilcoo lost in the quarterfinal in Ulster to Scottstown last year might have knocked the stuffing out of that team, and maybe we see the end of an era. I feel like Burren might be the team to win it and Down. They have some serious talent. Why not?
Yeah. No, I think so as well. Like, I backed them to win it last year and they didn't quite get over the line. They were beaten quite comfortably in that final as well. And you remember that was the final where I think Kilcoo put out a statement, was it, like, before the game to like change the referee or something of that nature. So yeah, there always seems to be a bit of shenanigans going on in the Down Football Championship. But I'm going to go with Burren as well. They do have Donald O'Hare within their ranks as well. Plenty of very good young players making the breakthrough there. So I'm going to go with Burren to come out on top. Moving on from that then, our next county up there. Where are we at now? I've lost my my train of thought here. Fermanagh. We'll go with Fermanagh. I had a little map here of all the counties in alphabetical order because I knew I'd forget one. So yeah, Fermanagh Football Championship. What are we thinking here?
Oh, Jesus, this is so fun now. That you haven't you haven't given me any.
No, I haven't. I've left you. I've left you out to dry here while I get
Yeah.
some. While I get some information. To be fair, Derry Gonley, they are the big team here. They've obviously won. They've won it twice in the last 3 years. You do have a Derny St. Joseph's who are in there as well. And interesting enough, Ern Gales, Balik, like they have some star Balik. They have some star players within their ranks. I'm fairly certain as well. So, who knows? Derry Gonley, they did get to an Ulster final a couple of years ago.
And they have the Begolians in that team as well. So, like, Derry Gonley seem like a serious team. They really do. I think Enniskillen Gales have Conor Love in that team, and we've been banging on about him in the Ulster Championship over the last few seasons as well. And a few Fermanagh fans was calling me deluded for saying Conor Love is their best forward, even though he was scoring freely for Enniskillen in the club championship. It's a toss-up, isn't it? It's Derry Gonley, Enniskillen, Ern Gales, Bleak, obviously. I only know how to pronounce Bleak because I've passed there before on a holiday. So there you go. I'll probably go for Derry Gonley. Like, the Begolians seem to be a good bunch of players there, and I feel like they'll get over the line in the end. But I think Enniskillen Gales with Conor Love up front, I think they might be the team to threaten Derry Gonley to the Fermanagh title. But I'm going to go for Derry Gonley to go ahead and win it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Derry Gonley as well. Like, they do have Conal Jones within their ranks as well, and the Jonas brothers of Derry Gonley, their own Jones brothers sort of version in there. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with them to come out on top as well. Gavin says here, Enniskillen Gales continue their great year with ex-player getting Ipswich from League One to the Premier League, and they had training with I Show Speed. Yeah, it's true. Like, geez, they've got a lot of things right this year. It could be a sign of things to come, that.
Maybe you would change my mind in the Enniskillen Gales to win it.
Speed.
No, I'd stick with them.
Kieran McKenna up front.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kieran McKenna might bring the likes of Liam Delap over there to Enniskillen, and the likes of Calvin Phillips and Sammy Smodics. That might be not a bad show whatsoever. But no, I'm going to go for Derry Gonley. I'm going to stick with my prediction now. I said it before. Yeah, I'm going to go for Derry Gonley to win it. But Enniskillen, as you said, it might be a sign of things to come there.
There we go. Moving on to the Derry Senior Football Championship. I am going to back Derry Gonley, by the way, to get over the line in Fermanagh. But the Derry Football Championship, Slot Neil, Watty Graham's Glen. It's surely going to be one of them two. Or is there a chance maybe that someone else can cause a shock? But like, when you look at recent finals, recent meetings, like it's very, very close. Glen have obviously got star-studded players like Conor Glass, Emmett Bradley's in there. You look at Slot Neil, we've got Shane McGuigan, Brendan Rodgers. So, I mean, it's some rivalry between them two, and very, very hard to call. As you said, Slot Neil have beaten Glen already in the group stages of the championship early on. But what are we thinking here? Could there be any surprises or shocks?
For any of the fairy tale goers, no. No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be Watty Graham's Glen and Slot Neil to contest the Derry Championship. And what's good for Derry as well is whoever comes out of this Derry Championship, I think, has a serious chance of the All-Ireland. Ulster first, obviously, and then the All-Ireland Championship. Because you look at the players on either side. Slot Neil have Brendan Rodgers, Chrissy McCaig, Shane McGuigan in their team. Cormac O'Doherty is a decent footballer. He's probably more recognised for playing hurling, but he's a very good footballer as well in that team. Watty Graham's Glen have Ethan Doherty, Conor Glass, Kieran McFall. They're serious players. Colin McGuckin, some serious players. Una Mulholland, some very good players. Malachy O'Rourke there as manager as well. Slot Neil beat Watty Graham's Glen the first day out though, and they followed it up with a hammering against I forget the team off the top of my head. No, they beat they beat a team out the gate, whereas Watty Graham's Glen only beat Balahi 10 points to 8. I feel like maybe Watty Graham's Glen might be tired. That might be a kind of a symbol that they might be tired in this Derry Championship. I'm seeing the result now in the Slot Neil game. Yeah, they beat Swartra 122 to 8 points. So that's a serious result to put up. That's 17 points over a team in Derry in the Derry Senior Football Championship. So many people in Derry might ridicule me for this prediction, but it looks at the results so far, and the fact that Slot Neil have beaten Watty Graham's Glen, and the fact that they have Shane McGuigan, Brendan Rodgers, and Chrissy McCaig in their ranks, I feel like Slot Neil are in serious battle to win the Derry Championship this year. It might be a shock to some people because of Watty Glen and their achievements last season. But given Watty Glen's results so far in the Championship, I feel like it has the looks of a tired team. And I think Sloughnane might have the upper hand on Glen this season.
Yeah. I'm going to go for Glen. I think if they're going to stick with the Ulster Championship, they've had the better of Sloughnane in the last couple of years. They've been able to find a way to get over the line. And I think they're still a serious team. And I know a lot of people might back against them because of maybe how things went at the end of for Derry, like with Glass and everything else. Maybe some big players underperforming. But I think Glen are going to get back on top in the Derry Football Championship. And look, it will be between one of Glen or Sloughnane. Look, maybe there might be another club in there that can cause a big surprise. But yeah, I'm going to go for Watty Graham's Glen to come out on top. Looking at the Monaghan Football Championship, Scottstown won that last season, beating Inishkeen in the final. Ballybay are the only side in the last 4 years to win it, other than Scottstown, and that was in 2022. And you remember, obviously, Ballybay went on to beat Crossmaglen just a couple of weeks later. Like, looking at some of the players within the Scottstown team, you've got Jack McCarron, Rory Began, Conor McCarthy, Shane Carey's in there, Darren Hughes. I mean, it's a monstrous team, really, and especially since they added Jack McCarron in there last season as well. So very, very hard to look past anything other than Scottstown winning this title.
Yeah, the players that they have, it's absolutely incredible to behold. Like Conor McCarthy, as you mentioned there, Jack McCarron, Rory Began's back in full form as well. Yeah, it's going to be difficult to stop them, isn't it? I'm not sure what the injury situation is on Darren Hughes. He got a serious injury against Cavan. I'm not sure will he be back by the end of the season. Kieran Hughes obviously hasn't played county football for Monaghan. He's a serious player to have in that team as well. Shane Carey's a very good player, obviously, an inter-county standard player. I think if anybody was to stop Scottstown in the Monaghan Championship, it would be a shock. Honestly, it would be a shock because Scottstown would be eyeing the Ulster Championship, and they got to the final last year against Watty Glen and competed very well, to be fair. So they beat Kilcoo on the way to that final as well. They beat Trillick as well from Tyrone. We'll mention the Tyrone Championship as well. Two very good sides, obviously, on their way to the Ulster final, and tested Watty Glen all the way. If anybody stops Scottstown, it'll be a shock. Scottstown to win this, I think it could be easy enough.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, they've got a serious team, and they might maybe just be an outside shout, potentially going on a very, very good All-Ireland run. Looking after that, then you have the Tyrone Senior Football Championship, and for those of you who don't know, the Tyrone Senior Football Championship is straight knockout. So they do their championship a little bit differently, and it's had like a whole host of different winners over the last couple of years. I think Trillick broke the streak where I think there was 10 different winners across the last 10 seasons. Like, you had Errigal Kieran winning it in 22, Trillick won it in 23, Dromore, Dungannon, Cole Island, Omagh, St. Dennis, Killyclogger, like so many different teams coming out on top. Errigal Kieran, like, they were backed very, very heavily to win it last season. They didn't come out on top. They do have the Canavans in there, Rory Canavan, Dara Canavan. You do have a lot of mad predictions in this championship, though. So what would you be going for here?
Again, this is a difficult championship to predict, and this championship won't start until September. So one of two championships that won't do so, along with Waterford, as I mentioned at the start of the video here. The draw has been made, though, and just for context for our listeners, Errigal Kieran are up against Pomeroy in the first round. You'd imagine Errigal Kieran will beat them. Straight knockout. I think they will get the job done in that. Trillick are up against Eaglish. Now, Eaglish have some decent young talent. Luke Donnelly is a decent young player that I've heard about in the Eaglish panel for them in the Tyrone Championship. That might be a tricky assignment, but I feel like Trillick will have enough to get over the line then. Dungannon, Thomas Clarks, we mentioned him, obviously during COVID, winning the Tyrone Championship. They're up against Dunamore in the first round. You'd imagine Dungannon should have enough to get over the line as well. Like, they still have Paul Donaghy, who was frozen out of the Tyrone team. Obviously, is a very good forward in that team. Cole Island are up against Clonoe in the first round. I think Cole Island should get over the line. Dromore up against Carrickmore. I think that could be tie of the round there. I think Dromore could get over the line there as well. I'm looking for Eden Dark. Are they an intermediate? I wonder. Eden Dark. Oh no, Eden Dark are playing Ardbow in the first round. That's a decent game as well. Eden Dark have the likes of Niall Morgan in their team. even look at I have a program right in front of me of the Tyrone team. Obviously, they play Cork as well in the All Ireland series. A lot of them players, like there's not one club that stands out as well. You could say like Ethan Dark is Niall Morgan, Ergal Kieran have Peter Hart, they have Rory Canavan, they have Darragh Canavan, Trillick have Sean O'Donnell, they have Matty Donnelly. Ian Dark also have Ben Cullen, who is a very good player as shown this year. Trillick also have Kieran Daly, who did very well this season. Ian Dark also have Darren McCurry. So maybe Ian Dark could be a close bet to go on and win it. This is a tough one to predict. Even though Coal Island actually have the full backline of Tyrone, the whole full backline of Michael McCurran and Paddy Hapsey and Niall Devlin. So they could be a good defensive side to look at in predicting the Tyrone Championship as well. By the looks of the it's such a difficult one to predict because we see it with history and with matches and stats and clubs that players play for as well. This is such a difficult championship to predict. And maybe Tyrone just love it this way with the straight knockout. It's just a brilliant championship, and it's one that the neutrals keep an eye on because it's such a hard one to predict. This is really a tough one. I could pick between, I'd say, 4 clubs here, in my opinion, Aaron. I'd say Trillick, Ergal Kieran, Eden Dark, or Coal Island. I think it's one of them 4 that's going to win it. This is a tough one to predict. You know what? I'm going to go defensive football in Tyrone will win the day. I'm going to go Coal Island to win it. The whole full back line is in the Tyrone team in Michael McKieran and Paddy Hapsey and Niall Devlin. And they're 3 athletic players as well. Eden Dark could be a good bet. Eden Dark, Niall Morgan, Ben Cullen, Darren McCurry. There's some good players defensively and offensively as well. And then you have the likes of Trillick and Ergal. Oh, Jesus, this is a difficult one to call. You know what? Because of the balance that they do have, final prediction, Eden Dark to win it. Niall Morgan, Darren McCurry, Ben Cullen. I think it will be enough to get over the line in this Tyrone Championship, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm going to go Eden Dark to win the Tyrone Championship.
There we go. I'm going to go for Ergal Kieran. I'm going to go for attacking football to prevail. Niall Morgan, Darragh Canavan, or not Niall Morgan. You can tell we've been on for nearly 2 hours. Darragh Canavan, Rory Canavan, the Canavan brothers. There's actually a Canavan trio on that side as well. So I'm going to go for them to come out on top and get the job done. Moving on to Connacht then. Galway Football Championship. Corofin won this last season. But I'm going to throw it out there. I think Salthill, Knocknacarra are going to come out on top in the Galway Football Championship. And the reason being, if you look at some of the players that they have, a lot of the younger players, like they've got Cathal Sweeney, they've got Tom O'Callaghan, they've got John Marin there, Rob Finnerty's also in the side, Daniel O'Flaherty's a very good player as well. So yeah, I'm going to go with Salthill, Knocknacarra to, I suppose, upset the odds a little bit and win the Galway Football Championship. What are you thinking?
It's definitely a good bet because in the first round they beat Montbellew Moylock by 9 points to 7, and that was a very good result for them to take. Obviously, Corofin, Mike Cullen only won narrowly so on the first day out. I'm trying to see who they are. They beat Dunmore McHale by a last minute goal, according to what's the score anyway. So like that was a get out of jail card for Mike Cullen in that game. Corofin looked to be a decent side. I think Salthill Knocknacarra, I think I might go for them as well, Aaron. You might have coerced me into it because John Maher has been one of the players of the season this season. Rob Finnerty has been in excellent environment scoring for Galway this year as well. You have Daniel O'Flaherty, who's a very good player for Galway to come on. Cathal Sweeney's an excellent player. Tom O'Callaghan. Like, to have Tom O'Callaghan and Robert Finnerty in the forward line as well, I think that might be an outside bet. I'm going to go for Salthill Knocknacarra to win it as well. And the fact they beat a decent side like Montbellew Moylock in the first day out as well, I think there'll be a serious bet. I think it will be Salthill Knocknacarra to win the Galway Championship. Mike Cullen didn't start well. Montbellew Moylock didn't. Corofin did, but they got a narrow win. I feel like Salthill Knocknacarra will get the job done in Galway.
There we go. Moving on to the Leitrim Football Championship. There's been 3 different winners in the last 3 years. Mohill won it in 23, St Mary's, Kiltaggart won it in 22, and Ballinamore, Sean O'Heslin's won it in 2021. And interesting enough, in the last 6 years, there's been 5 different winners. So the Leitrim Football Championship is a very, very competitive. Keane had a comment here earlier. Mohill are in pole position in the Leitrim Connacht Gold Senior Football Championship. They did well last year, winning the Leitrim Championship and in the Connacht Championship too. Hot favourites. Yeah, like looking at it there, like they have Keith Byrne obviously in their ranks, who's a star player. Jordan Reynolds is in there as well. Yeah, like it's very, very hard to look past Mohill. What would you be thinking here?
Mohill did beat Glencar Manor in their last game, 116-16, and that was an excellent result, obviously. I have a slight inkling, though, and I've said it before in the channel for Ballinamore, Sean O'Hesans. They beat Drumahare in the last game, 9 goals and 19 points to 5 points.
Wow.
That's like, that is just like, that's like almost
playing. What on earth happened there?
Like, I don't know, Leitrim fans, Keane, comment if you're still in the chat here, but Drumahare, like I remember them at Celebrity Banashore, if memory serves me correctly. They're a decent enough club. They're a historic enough club, by my recollection anyway. And to lose that game by 9 goals and 19 points to 5 points, like, what on earth? Like, I think Ballinamore have decent players at the same time, though. They have some very good players. And they won the Leitrim Championship 3 seasons ago as well. Mo will have some good players. Obviously, Keith Byrne, excellent forward for the Leitrim senior team. And also you have Fianna St. Callans, who have the likes of Ryan O'Rourke in their team as well. So Leitrim could be very interesting to predict this season. I think I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for Ballinamore, Sean O'Hesans to win it. I think they're scoring freely. They're looking good in this championship already. And to put up that score, 9 goals and 19 points, in any game of football in 60 minutes is absolutely ridiculous. So I feel like Ballinamore will have enough to win the Leitrim Championship this season.
There we go. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my original. I'm going to stick with Mohill. I think they will be too strong to get over the line. Keith Byrne hasn't been playing regularly for Leitrim as well, so I'd be curious to know if he's playing regularly with Mohill. But there we are. Moving on to the Mayo Football Championship. This was won last season by Ballinas's Stephenites in a very entertaining final, 6 points to 4 versus Brafey. You did have Westport, who won this in 22. Knockmore won it in 21 and 20. It feels like a little, like even looking at a lot of teams who've got to the final, like Brafey have got to the final on a couple of occasions. Ballydoreen have been there as well. Belmullah, obviously with Ryan O'Donoghue, got to the final in 2020. So yeah, like very much up in the air, the Mayo Football Championship. Westport have got some stars obviously in their ranks, as we very well know as well. What would you be thinking here?
This might be a boring enough prediction, but looking at the results in the first round, Ballinas's Stephenites beat Mayo Gaels by 11 points, 20 points to 9. To score 20 points in 60 minutes is really, really good. You look at other teams in there. Castlebar Mitchells beat Charlestown, or they drew against Charlestown. That's not really a good result for them. Westport could be up there as well with Lee Keegan in the team. They beat Bala in the first day of 14 points to 12, and they won the Mayo Senior Football Championship a few seasons ago as well. Brafey are the nearly men. Every season we predict Brafey to win the championship, and they never do so. Like, you have Aidan O'Shea there, you have Matty Rowan there, you have Seamus O'Shea there, and you have Rob Henley. I don't know if Rob Henley actually got to Raheny, if memory serves me correctly, but they still have some excellent players on that team, but they never managed to get over the line in Mayo. I think Ryan O'Donoghue's team, Belmullah, I think they drew in the first day out as well in the Mayo Senior Football Championship. So would they be a good pick? They lost in the first day out to Clare Morris, 21 points to 213. So maybe not. So not more loss in the first day out to Ballydoreen as well, 110 to 19. Ballydoreen could be a good bet as well. And the fact that John O'Mahony passed away early on in the year, a Ballydoreen man, and they wore obviously commemorative shirts on the first day out against Knockmore as well. Could it be written in the stars for Ballydoreen to get over the line in Mayo? We'll have to see. Could be a decent bet there. This might be a boring prediction, but I'm going to go for Ballinas's Stephenites to win it. They look probably the best team in the Mayo Championship last year, and so far this season, they look like the best side in the Mayo Championship. So I'm going to go for Ballinas's to win it.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Brafey. I think they're going to do it this time. I think they're going to get over the line. I think they've never won the Mayo Football Championship in their history as well, the senior championship, which is an extraordinary statistic given the players that they have. But I think this is the year where they break the mold. The Roscommon Football Championship, St. Bridget's won that last year. Strokestown won it in 22. St. Bridget's obviously with the likes of Ben O'Carroll within their ranks, very, very hard to go against them. And they're probably going to be one of the outside favourites, or maybe one of the favourites for an All-Ireland.
Exactly so. And they have serious players in that team, obviously. Like Shane Canan, for example, Ben O'Carroll, Bobby Nugent, get Brian Durham. They have some excellent players in that forward line, and I see them in the flesh against Castlehaven last year. Looked a very, very good team, very well balanced, and they nearly beat Watty Glen last year as well. I think it goes without saying they'll win against in Roscommon. Yes, there are some good sides. I think Boyle should be up there with the likes of Donny Smith, Enda Smith, Dara Craig if he's still around. I still think Boyle will be up there to win Roscommon, surely. But I think St. Bridget's is the safe bet, and I think they could be up there to win the All-Ireland as well. I think for St. Bridget's, the question mark isn't will they get over the line in Roscommon? Will they get over the line in Croke Park is going to be the question for St. Bridget's this year.
There we go. Yeah, I think, do you know what? I'm going to go against the grain a little bit. I'm going to go for Boyle to get over the line. They got to the last two finals, narrowly lost out as well. It's been a long, long time since Boyle won this as well. I can't remember the exact year, but I know it has been Donkey's year since they last won it. They have Enda Smith within their ranks as obviously a key player. And I think they're going to do it. And it's a bit of an outside shock, obviously betting against Bridget's, but that is what I'm going to do. Two championships then to finish up with, both Sligo and London. Sligo, Kildare, Strandhill won it last season. Turles Strand were very, very much dominant, the dominant force there from 2016 up until 22. And then in London, I suppose our knowledge, obviously in London, the London Football Championship is going to be, definitely scraping at the bottom of the barrel here. But Fulham Irish won it last season, and they got to the last three finals. St. Kiernan's won it in 21 and 22. In terms of my picks for the Sligo Championship, I'm going to go for Turles Strand to get back on top. And in London, I'm going to go for St. Kiernan's to get back on top. What are you going with?
Different predictions, in my opinion. For London, first of all, I'll just put this out of the way. Fulham Irish. I don't know much about the London Championship. I just feel like Fulham Irish might get over the line.
It's a cool name, to be fair, isn't it? It's a great club name.
It is actually. It's one of my favourite GA names. It really is. Just because of, Fulham and soccer and all that. I just love that name. I really do. I'm going to go for Fulham Irish just because I don't know much about the London Championship. As for Sligo, Turles Strand, you're saying they lost the first out by 10 points against St. Mary's.
Wow. Okay.
So I feel like this is St. Mary's to lose. They had Eli Rooney in very good form. Eli Rooney is a good underage player at schools level for Sligo and an underage level as well. He could be definitely a player to watch in the Sligo Senior Football Championship, in my opinion. So I'm going to go for St. Mary's to win it. That was a big win to get against Turles Strand, and I feel like that momentum will get them over the line in the Sligo Championship. I think Turles Strand's days as the dominator are surely over. Like 10 points, that's a hammering.
Yeah, that is quite a hammer. I'm going to stick with it anyway, though. I'm locked all the way in. So there we go. That's every championship predicted. Now we'll go for the big one. Matthew, before we finish up, give me your 4 provincial winners and your All-Ireland winner.
Right. Munster, Castlehaven. I feel like this is a year where they're going to put the foot on the accelerator. Leinster, I think Kilmacud. I can't see anything different. Connacht, St. Bridget's. Again, can't see anything different. Salton Dakar to really put it up to them. Ulster, Shotneil. I think they're a serious team. All Ireland. I'm trying to do it in my head now who's meeting who, because it was, I'm trying to think, it's Munster against Ulster this year. So it'll be Shotneil against Castlehaven. Shotneil will win that. Kilmacud against St. Bridget's. St. Bridget's will win that. The final, St. Bridget's against Shotneil. St. Bridget's. I'm going to say the thing about losing finalists will keep on going. I think St. Bridget's will get their hands on the All-Ireland title.
There we go. Is it Munster versus Leinster? Did you say?
No, it's Munster versus Ulster, I think, because 2 years ago it was Kieran O'Rahilly's against Kilmacud. That's part of my math anyway.
There we go. So I've definitely got some bold predictions in here. So in Leinster, I'm going for an ace. I think they're gonna come out on top. I think Na Fianna are not gonna have what it takes to come through Leinster. In Ulster, I'm actually gonna go for Scottstown. I think they've a serious team. I think they've been building. I think last year was the first time really that we saw them go on a run within the Ulster Championship. In Connacht, I'm going to go for Salt Hill, Knocknacarra to come out there. And in Munster, I'm going to go for Castlehaven. And as you said, would it be Munster versus Ulster? Going to go for Scottstown to get over the line there. Going to go for Salt Hill to come out on top in the other semi-final versus Naas. And then I'm going to go with Scottstown to win the All-Ireland. So there we go. For any Monaghan club fans or any Scottstown fans watching, there you go. There's a Monaghan All-Ireland winner right there. Probably won't happen, knowing my predictions. And yeah, look, that very much wraps it up. An absolute monster podcast there, just under 2 hours. So for anyone who has tuned in, if you could hit the like button and subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. And until the next one, we'll speak to you all then. Do make sure to check out Matthew's podcast as well at Gaelic Statsman when you get a chance. And yeah, we will catch us all again.